back on the air. Oof, what a long day. Okay.
How are your notes?
My notes are coming along. Just give me like maybe another 2 seconds to pull some stuff up.
Sure.
In case you haven't seen already or haven't already known, welcome back. We're doing the 12th episode of the BP series, BP12. So, I actually have no clue what I'm going to be doing with this, but I'm going to at least...
Okay, so this time it is your turn to provide the topic and my turn to react, right? Okay, so what you got?
So, I want to take you back long time ago.
Yep. I'm envisioning this. Okay.
Because we're going to be talking about the history of anime.
Okay.
No, not the full history, of course. This is just going to be a very, very condensed version of it. So by history, I mean more talking about like contemporary, more modern era of anime.
Sure.
So we're going back to like the early 60s, right?
Yeah. Early 60s are,
right?
Yeah.
So, I'm sure you know the name Osamu Tezuka.
Who's that?
He's the man who created
Astro Boy?
Yep. So Astro Boy, known as one of the first anime series, came out, and this was at a time as well when the manga first came out, when they came out of like the post Second World War slump. Japan was very much in its recovery.
Is this when Dororo was also written?
The novel, right? I think so, around that time. But very much like the push for the anime industry at the time was very much considered like to be from the success that Astro Boy brought along, right? So it then saw like a larger growth within the anime industry, like pre 1950s. Huge slump, a lot of cuts, a lot of issues in regards to even doing animation in the first place because, well, one, technology wasn't really a thing back then, and also the fact that it wasn't really a focus within any industry within Japan. But then after Astro Boy came out, you then started seeing a lot more like directors, authors taking inspiration from Tezuka's works, and then in the 70s, that's when we started seeing a huge growth in manga. And then many of which then later became animated as well. So specifically within the 70s, right, we're like all the way during from like the early 1970s through to like early 1980s, we saw the rise of the giant robot genre, or specifically mechas. So that's when you start seeing Mazinger Z, the Gundam franchise, Macross, and they became huge classics.
Will, does this have anything to do with Sailor Moon? What are you about to say?
Well, Sailor Moon comes in like a little bit later on, actually, because then you started seeing like going into like the early to the mid 1980s. That was when Japan was going through a bubble economy. So a lot of assets and housing prices were fully inflated. There were a lot of new sort of monetary policies that came in from the Japanese government to be able to capitalize on the rising costs of housing and all that. And so therefore, then you start seeing a lot more sort of like high end, like high budget, more experimental kind of animes, particularly on the movie sides. So, like, for example, like Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, Royal Space Force, The Winds of Hanamis, as well as Akira in 1988. Then, in 1992, the bubble burst. Japan's economy slumped, one of the biggest economic crises across Asia. And there's just a lot of, like, shit that just basically needed, like, a reset. Basically what happened after, like, the Second World War was kind of similar to what was happening within the anime industry in like the early 90s. And so then a lot of animations like started like slowly trickling down. I think still in like the early 1990s, that was when like Dragon Ball Z came out. That was when Sailor Moon came out as well. But it wasn't until a little known anime series called Neon Genesis Evangelion, produced by Hideki Anno, came out and began a new era of experimental anime. So at that time as well, series like the movies like Ghost in the Shell, also the series Cowboy Bebop also came out.
Never heard of them,
right? Yeah. They're terrible, absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it's not like I would ever sound from the sounds of it like any of these anime. Yeah, go on.
But then during that era was again another era of experimentation, trying to see if things could work. And luckily with Evangelion, despite like how panning some of the feedback is in terms of how the anime ended, you would coin it as essentially the revitalization of the anime industry.
So Anime Chan was a hippie at the time,
and then
experimenting.
And then when Cowboy Bebop came out in 1998, that was when it started getting into the mainstream, reaching into American audiences. Very much how like I think around that time, Cowboy Bebop came out, and I think it was Slam Dunk also came out around that time too. And there was another series that also came out around that. Initial D. Initial D also came out in the same season as Cowboy Bebop. So
What about Four Wheel Drive and Captain Tsubasa?
those were Tsubasa was much earlier on.
Oh, okay.
Right, but much like with like what Cowboy Bebop was doing with the Americas because of the fact that Adult Swim picked it up. Same way that Initial D also started growing in Asia as well. Very, very popular.
Yeah.
Right.
Very popular.
And then because of the effect that Cowboy Bebop had, that's when we started seeing a lot of like attention within Western countries, which then brought in a lot of dubbing as well. So then like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, especially also then seeing like a new era of Ghibli movies. Spirited Away started getting super, super popular.
Also, phenomenal voice cast, English dub.
But then I would say that within like the early to mid 2000s was when we had like a new era of anime to focus on, which was the era of the big three, right? So you had One Piece, and then 2-3 years after that was Naruto, and then 2 years after that was Bleach,
All right.
right? Slowly and surely, then you started seeing more and more adaptations of different genres, different avenues. I think in the mid 2000s, late 2000s, that's when we started seeing adaptations of light novels and visual novels like Fate Stay Night, Haruhi Suzumiya. Those are both done in 2006.
Studio Dean, best version of Fate Stay Night, by the way.
Yep. And then like you go into
I'm joking.
You go into the early 2010s, right?
Okay.
Of like 10 years ago.
Okay.
Arguably two of the biggest properties at the time. I'm not including FMA, by the way, because FMA did have a chance in 2001 and then it came back in 2009.
Right. Because this was the non-Brotherhood version that you're referring to.
Yeah. But then like basically within that decade, right? From 2000 to 2010 was just purely dominated by three properties. One Piece, Naruto, Bleach.
What about Dragon Ball Z?
That was kind of like, this is where like it definitely has a place in it, but if we were to just go by like the impact globally,
What about Sailor Moon?
again, globally, nothing bigger than Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach.
What about Gundam?
That was in the 80s.
Oh, shit. You're right.
Right?
Okay.
Gundam started out in 1979.
Shit. Okay,
right?
okay.
It depends on which one you're talking about. Like Gundam Wing, are you talking about like Zero? You're talking about whichever series, because like there's like 20
You're
installments.
talking to me as if I understand the whole lore of Gundam.
The Hathaway Project one, the Red Witch or whatever it was called, Mercury Witch or
The Witch from Mercury,
Yeah.
that will debut in October.
yeah. So then we go into the 2010s, right? And we have like two of the biggest hitters that we ever seen, which was Attack on Titan and Sword Art Online.
Yeah,
Right.
that checks out in my mind as well.
Slowly but surely throughout the past decade, we then start seeing a little bit of a blur in terms of what kind of genres or what kind of like anime was really dominating the scene, right? You had like the teenage like angst of like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z. Then you had like the Shonen Big Three. Before that, you had the mechas, and then like the early 2010s, you then had like everything. I mean, that was the decade that we saw Demon Slayer, we saw ReZero, we saw Full Metal Alchemist. We saw the rebirth of
No.
Fruits
We saw
Basket.
Full Metal Alchemist, the live action movie.
That was terrible, by the way. So within every decade, we start seeing like very like prominent genres, from mechas to experimental art house to shonen. But I think that within the last 5 years, last 6 years actually specifically, we have seen the rise, the proliferation, and like becoming a mainstay within the anime industry of one particular genre.
Hold on. Let me think for a sec. It is isekais?
Let's talk about isekais for just a quick second here.
Okay. By the way, since we're on the topic of isekais, and since you mentioned Sailor Moon, I feel the need to spend this opportunity right now, this next 2 minutes, to tell you, did you know that there is a 90s American live-action Sailor Moon pilot?
Yeah, I remember you had it on the news docket.
Yeah. Just so that you know, it was in the 1990s, and Bandai America gave permission to obtain from the Library of Congress this scrapped pilot of Sailor Moon. It is weird as fuck, but there you go. Okay.
Also, did you know that
No, I did not know. Whatever.
Code Geass was funded by Pizza Hut?
Well, I would have said, yeah, because
they feature Pizza Hut in the series,
Yeah,
but it's also
and
because
CC also, right? So, yeah, it doesn't. That's not like
I'm just
that,
throwing
so-
random facts out. But
Okay.
more specifically onto the isekai.
Wait,
genre.
did you know anime is animation, but then cut?
Stop it.
Go on. Yeah.
So I actually basically did a little bit of a deep dive in terms of isekais over the last 2 years.
Didn't we do an isekai episode?
We did,
Yeah.
but more so like into this sort of kind of bits and pieces, scrambling brain.
Fun fact: do you
discussion.
know which episode number it is?
It wasn't in this season. It was.
I actually don't have it open, but I can tell you. I think I know which one.
Was
but
it episode 34?
I would say 25. Let's double check.
Even longer.
Let's double check right now. Sorry, as
you can pull that up. Yeah. So I looked into the stats of isekai anime in the past 2 years.
I got it.
Oh, 25?
Episode 25. Yep.
Okay, I was very far off then. So I did specifically within the last 2 years because I did essentially series from when we started doing the Good Anime Pilot podcast. So like that season was winter 2021.
Yep.
Okay, so that was the season that Jobless Reincarnation debuted.
Sure.
Second season of ReZero came out.
Nice.
The second season of Slime Isekai came out.
Nice.
The first season of Spider Isekai.
Nice.
And then Log Horizon season 3 also came out too.
Nice. I'm just going to keep saying nice, not because they are good anime, but because I'm committed to the bit of saying nice.
Yeah. So that season alone, right? That was a very crazy season because at that time, this is even before we started doing seasonal bets. There were 59 series in terms of TV series.
Wasn't it like 12 or 13 shows were 8 pluses?
12 series were 8.00 plus. Half of those were isekais, right? Jobless Reincarnation season 1,
ReZero,
and Slime Isekai season
Slime
2.
Isekai, yep.
Right? 8.47 for ReZero season 2, 8.40 8.47, and then 8.40 for Slime Isekai season 2, and then 8.37 for Jobless Reincarnation. Isekais that season for winter 2021 made up 8% of all anime. Okay, that's a decent number. It's, a percentage, but like not a huge one, right?
As in, like, if you were to take every single anime production, 8% of that.
59. So like, there are five isekai series. So 5 out of 59, just around 8%.
Got it.
Right? Then we go into the next season. That's when we hit Iruma-kun, Slime Diaries, Saint's Powers Omnipotent, Combatants Will Be Dispatched, Killing Slimes for 300 Years, and How Not to Summon a Demon Lord season 2.
I guess Iruma-kun is... Yeah, because they don't have to reincarnate. They get transported.
There's going to be some edge cases in here.
Right.
There's
No.
be some.
But I would say, more or less, I can see the logic as to why people would at least think of anime of those that you just mentioned and isekai.
I mean, to be fair as well, right? Log Horizon, is that really an isekai?
I mean, when you get transported, right?
But
technically.
but it's a video game kind of thing, right?
But it's transported,
But it's also
though.
SAO, right?
It's transported, though.
Right. But
I'm saying it in favor of,
and
yes.
also, yeah. So, for example, like if we talk about SAO, like people would say that SAO was like when isekais got really big, but I would dispute that and say that despite that coming out in 2011, really, really big then, I would say 5 years later, 2016, when ReZero came out, that was when it was like the isekai boom came out.
I think isekais first came on my personal radar when I played and watched Dot Hack.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that like Dot Hack is really good, but that was when the whole concept of isekais was obviously there was more. I mean, I think 12 Kingdoms was before that and things like that, right?
2003, I think that one came out.
So I'm not trying to say that like Dot Hack is the
But
origin.
very much those were like series that I personally feel came out a little too early of their time.
I wouldn't know that there were isekais at the time. Only now looking back, do I was like, oh yeah, I can see that. But at the time, I was like, what the fuck is an isekai? I actually won't even know such a word exists.
I mean, it's in the same way when we did the episode talking about Deno Coil, right? Coming out in 2006. I was like, this also came out a little too early of its time.
Right.
But, it's still very much something that, is relevant in the current anime zeitgeist, right?
I mean, we addressed this in episode 25 of the isekai genre, but you don't actually have to die and reincarnate. It just means another world.
Yeah.
So transporting, teleportation, or whatever is technically
the literal
legit.
word for isekai is, as you said, another world.
Right.
So back onto the spring 2021, right? So there were 6 series that were isekais.
You're dropping all these stats. I'm loving it. Like, no joke. This is awesome.
So during that season, 52 TV series that premiered. around 10 series. Actually, 10 series was 8.00 plus. So it was another good season in terms of like really good anime.
So when you say that they're new shows, right? So
non-continuing. These are all like if you look at Mal,
Right,
like
right,
the
the
first
new.
part, TV anime new, not continuing, not OVAs, not ONAs.
So Ranking of Kings would count only once, for example, because it's 2 curs. Or like
Yeah.
Summertime Render
Exactly.
would count.
But Jobless wouldn't because there's 2 parts.
Right.
Just like how Attack on Titan Final would also feature.
Right. So Spy X Family in this instance would have two separate entries.
Yeah.
Got it.
But in your case, yes, Ranking would only have 1 entry.
Got it.
Just like how Aoashi and all because they roll over. So.
Or the most well-known Requiem of the Rose King. Yes.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay, so 10 series, 8.00 up, right? Only one of those was an 8.00 and up, which was Iruma-kun at an 8.08. So 6 series out of 52, that makes up around 12% of all spring 2021 TV anime new. Then we go into summer. 37 series. Now, remember we talked about this as well.
Oh, because of COVID? That's why there's 37?
Well, no, COVID was always around. COVID started like
No, but like the impact of it. Because 37 compared to like 50-something.
No, but we talked about that too. We were like, wow, this summer season looks kind of slim because that was also the same season that Realist came out, Standing on a Million Lives, Drugstore, the Isekai
the
one.
Slow Life Pharmacy, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Spirit Chronicles,
Yeah.
Villainous, Black Company, Tsukimichi, and Slime Season 2 came out. So only 4 series had cracked the 8 mark on my anime list for that season. Only one was an isekai, which is Slime Season 2.
Yeah.
Right? But because of how few anime series had released as new series that season,
it ends up being a large proportion.
22% of summer TV anime new in 2021 were isekais.
Okay.
It starts getting a little bit more like flatlined later on, right? Because then in season 4, in fall 2021, back to 52 series. So things are back to normal again.
Okay.
6 series, 8 and up. But there were only 4 series that were isekais, 2 of them being sequels. So you had Restaurant Isekai, and we also had Jobless Season 2. Then we had Greatest Assassin and Faraway Paladin.
Faraway.
I thought it was Faraway.
Far away. I don't know. Will, it stars you, right? So you should know.
William, yeah. So now it's going back to a little bit more.
Do you like these little
numbers.
quips that I put in between all this?
I fucking hate you. So then we have like so that it only makes 8%. Then Winter 2022, 6 isekais: Realist Season 2, Arifureta Season 2, Fantasy Bishoujo, Leodel, People of the Wise Man, and Strongest Sage. Strongest Sage, that one being the edge case as well, because there is reincarnation.
Wait, what's the last one you said?
The Strongest Sage, the Crest.
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah. Fuck. I remember
6 series of 8 and up, none of them being isekai. But it still made up 14% of all winter 2022 TV anime new. Big number. And then the previous season, spring 2022, that's when we also saw Kongming, Bookworm Season 3, Otome Game, Skeleton Knight, Shield Hero Season 3.
Actually, Will, it won't be last season. It would be 2 seasons ago, technically, right? Will?
I mean, as of recording. Whenever it's going to be released.
Go on.
And then The Greatest Demon Lord, right?
The retry, right? Greatest Demon Lord retry or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 8 series of 8 and up. 2 of them being isekais. Well, one being reverse isekai. Kongming and Bookworm Season 3. So 52 series. Isekais made 12% of that. Now into the current season as of recording, which is summer 2022. 7 series that are isekais, 2 of which are reverse. And one of those being there were 2 sequels as well. Overlord Season 4.
Dope.
Uncle Isekai.
Dope.
Pharmacy Isekai.
Pretty dope.
Part-Timer Season 2.
Yeah.
Black Summoner. Yeah. Your silence says it all.
Yeah.
Harem Labyrinth. And My Isekai Life.
Yeah.
As of recording, which is September 3rd, 2022.
Oh, we're dating ourselves now?
I'm just so that people have context. Because
All
they might
right,
look
okay.
back and be like, what the fuck?
What the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So 6 series at the time of recording are 8 and up, right? Mm-hmm. And that's 50 series for summer 2022.
And Uncle Isekai actually dropped out of the 8 category.
Like last week it was an 8. Now it's 7.98.
Like 9 8. Yeah.
Overlord, the only one right now. 14% of all summer 2022 TV anime new are isekais. So we're seeing very consistent levels of consistent percentages of isekai representation through the seasons.
So before, like, let's say the last 3-4 seasons, the number was like the mid-teens, right? Then before that, it was like 20 something, right?
But that was also the season when there were only 37 series.
True. Okay.
That was remember we saw that was a really weird
Yeah.
season.
I'm just trying to have that context in my mind, so then when we actually like go into it, which I'm assuming we will, I would have this frame of reference in mind. So go, okay.
Yeah. So on average, right, 1 out of 6 to 1 out of 7 series that comes out per season is an isekai. Lots of isekais coming out every season. I haven't seen what's coming up for fall or for winter. I would assume there's going to be a fair amount of those as well.
One of them I'm heavily looking forward to, The Eminence in Shadow.
Oh, you did, like,
I'm going to shill for that series until it.
You keep on trying to bring up these, like, oh, there's like the little Easter egg, the little quip over there. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm sure it's going to be good. So they make up a pretty good amount of seasons, right?
Yeah.
12, 14, 18, 22%, usually like almost 1 in 5, 1 in 7, something like that.
Sure.
And the ratings are okay.
I'm sure you're going to tell me right now.
So, so basically 4, 5.
What are the averages, Will?
Well, I don't really have the averages.
Oh, I thought you would. Okay.
But out of those, over the last 2 years, at least all the way back until January 2021, when winter 2021 started, 9 of those isekais were rated an 8 and up. But there are a load of 7s, a load of 6s, and it makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean that checks out to me.
That's not what I'm actually most interested in, though, because
fuck, is this a thing where, like, you talk about the fact that we moved venues for 10 minutes and then all of a sudden drop the bomb that, hey, actually we're talking about the discussion of being mid, right? This is it?
Because it's in the end, it's like the score distributions aren't that different from what all the other series are.
Or any given season, yeah.
It's always going to be heavy on the 7s, mostly heavy on the 6s, and then there'll be a sprinkling of 8s here and there. What I'm most interested in, though, is the level of popularity for all these isekais. Because the fact that, because we're trying to see, like, is isekai, like, really the genre that people go to now? Because it doesn't really matter about the score. We've talked about this before in our whether 7s, 8s should be grouped together as a mid. That was a very long discussion, but it was a very important discussion. I really enjoyed that.
And I liked it, yeah.
But when it comes to popularity, I think that is a good signifier of how well received an anime is, based on how many people are actually watching it, how many people are actively following it, and how many people actually want to comment and report on it. So I collated all of the popularities. I didn't actually average it out, but looking at everything, and I'm not including this current season because it could change, right?
Right.
But everything from winter 2021 through to spring 2022.
So it would be a total of 10 seasons?
No, it was only
9?
6 seasons.
6. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I added an extra year. My bad. Okay.
Yeah, all the seasons of 2021, so that's 4, and then the 2 seasons of 2022, winter and spring.
Yep.
Only 2 series have a popularity of, like, in terms of, like, membership, less than 100,000.
Oh, okay.
So members, not popular, but
so
members.
it's the opposite in the sense that everything else had a lot of members, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Only 2 had less than 100.
So it would... Shit, let me think. Is it even possible for me to even figure that out?
You probably would...
Pupil?
Pupil actually has... Oh, wow. Yes, correct. Pupil had 91,000.
Okay, hold on. The second one would be Slow Life Pharmacy.
No, that one had 111.
Fuck. Okay, hold on. Oh, shit, hold on. Let me... I got one more shot, one more opportunity. Let me think.
You know it, but you probably won't be able to think about it right now. Think food.
No, it's not Restaurant to Another World, though.
72,000
Oh, shit.
for season 2. But everything else had at least 100,000 members, some of which had 600, 700, 900,000.
Fair.
Leodale had 119.
Yeah.
Strongest Sage had a 774. This current season, only 2 series have less than 100 members, which is Pharmacy Isekai and Black Summoner. My Isekai Life actually has 112, which is fair dues, right?
Very, yeah. Good numbers, yeah.
Yeah. So the numbers definitely stack up to the point where like it's quite clear that despite the varying level of scores in terms of like how much people like the anime for isekais, there's no denying that whether you like it or not, there's a lot of people who are watching isekais right now,
including us. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like, it would be fair to say that at least now, in the last 2 to 3 years, especially since the boom of ReZero and the fact that ReZero had only just released
Or SAO, yeah.
SAO and all that, like, do you feel that the isekai genre is still here to stay? Because it has been a very long journey, but it's still going very, very strong. Like, we've seen genres by decade, and it changes every 10 years or so. But it's only been like a very short while that like the isekai genre had blown up, like 5 years ago, and we're still seeing loads and loads, and no matter how generic they are, there's still a lot of isekais that are coming out.
I can answer your question from my perspective emphatically, right? So this is, again, my opinion, right? Yes, it's here to stay, and I would argue it will always be here in a relatively noticeable capacity. Now, whether or not that number would be consistent with the numbers that you put out, no. But I would think just like idol shows are always here, whether or not people give a shit or not, every once in a while something does. But you cannot deny that there are idol shows. You cannot deny that some people are diehard idol fans of these shows, idol shows, and that some of them, every once in a while, peek its little head out and make some sort of attention.
Would you go out to say then that isekais would be
a staple?
The decade-defining genre? Because we had shonen in the in the 2000s.
I mean, I think that's
mechas in the 80s.
Yeah, I think so for sure. And I think actually the reason for that is several things. From an IRL real-life perspective, the fact that you can transport yourself as like an escape by watching anime and then have that transport into another, like those characters transport into another world, that kind of fantastical wish fulfillment, OP-ness, power fantasy is a very easy concept to get behind for a lot of people, including us, and especially during try-hard times, like tough times like COVID.
It's the inception of escapism, right? Escaping reality through escaping in an anime.
Right.
Right? So
because you're living the possibility that you would be transported and have this OP-ness and not have this fucking harem and whatnot, right?
And I think it's like it's also
wow.
Someone really does not like isekais. So it's actually, like, in my opinion, kind of crazy to really define the past decade, or at least like the last 5-6 years of anime to be like completely dominated by isekais, because you also had series like Attack on Titan.
The isekai cops are getting you, boy.
Oof, I should not speak ill of the isekais.
So,
but yeah, Attack on Titan. You had Demon Slayer. You had One Punch Man. You now have Jujutsu Kaisen, and you soon to have Chainsaw Man too. But despite, and also Spy X Family and Kaguya-sama as well. Loads of like really, really like highly acclaimed anime series.
Yep.
But despite how big their rises are, the mainstay, which has always been consistent, has been the plethora of isekai anime to choose from.
So I will answer your other I'll expand on that, what I want to say, which was also from a writing perspective, isekais, in my opinion, is pretty easy, because when you transport into another world, you create that other world, and it could be whatever you want. Whether or not your writing ends up being good or bad or successful or not, because the world's your oyster, you literally can create it because you're transported to another world, right?
At least like from a writing perspective, world building becomes a lot easier.
Right, and it becomes is predicated on your skills as a writer, or your creative like prowess, right? Then comes your kind of analysis of, well, there's AOT, Jujutsu Kaisen, whatever, but also what about all these isekais? I would say, hey, those shows make a lot of impact, for sure. But you see, Will, you and I are currently watching, okay, let's say last season, right? We would watch Spy X Family, AOT, Kaguya-sama. But at the same time, we would watch isekais as a side thing, not as our primary thing. And when plenty of people also adopt the same practice, it becomes a popular thing.
I mean, like, for example, if we're just talking about summer, right? Overlord, Isekai, Uncle Isekai, Pharmacy Isekai, Part-Timer, Black Summoner, Harem Labyrinth, My Isekai Life. I'm watching all of them.
Yeah.
Right
or are
now.
you telling me that, like, most of the people would not at least have watched one of them in their regular rotation? Absolutely, they did. So therefore, by definition, it's like everyone has their show of choice plus their isekai of choice, almost, is what I would say.
Yeah, but at the same time, what I'm also kind of worried about too is, with this rise in isekai and the fact that it's such a mainstay right now, like, are we in fear that potentially that we're going to start getting more and more watered down isekai? Like, for example, like after the boom of the big three shonen series, right? Then you started having a lot of imitations and has-beens and knockoffs. Like, there have been so many series between 2005 and 2015 that were trying to model after, like, the Bleach, the One Piece, the Narutos, and some have tried, some have failed, some are still kind of relevant nowadays. But you would still say that if it's of that era, like, it's still very much One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto.
So here's my take on that, which is, I would say, traditionally speaking, and this is a broad stroke, is that the isekai genre was born out of the Naru platform, which was also word-based. So a lot of isekai nowadays, their main source is light novels or visual novels as well. I would consider them kind of in the same vein, right? So the issue that I seem to, not the issue, the kind of phenomenon that I seem to know is that the manga industry, in terms of how they treat isekais, I actually,
or even like the light novel industry as
well,
right?
I don't read light novels though.
But that's where it derived from.
Sure, but I've read a lot of mangas that I never talk about on the show, and obviously, by definition, a good portion of them are isekais. I can tell you that some of the mangas that have come out that are based off of these light novels are really good, like phenomenally good. And it is not even on any, if you were an anime only person, it won't even be on your radar. That is the thing that I'm trying to sort of tell you. So let me give you an example right now. I really like, and this is like crazy because these two mangas follow within the exact same subgenre within isekai, which is villainous. So first of all, there is a manga series called The Most Heretical Last Boss Queen from Villainous to Savior. And then the second manga that I'm going to mention is, and hold on for a sec, is, shit, I don't have it in front of me right now. But as I scroll through this is these isekais mangas. And this is just me on top of my head. They're really, really good. Oh yeah, I'm in Love with the Villainous is the second one.
Okay.
So, and you know that like people are paying attention to at least I'm in Love with the Villainous because they have won the Next Manga Award 2022. I mean, we talked about while we're eating lunch. The manga industry with their isekais, I usually look at as like a precursor to some of those mangas becoming animes. It's very healthy and very strong.
Yeah, I mean, like, even though, like, the scores are very, very wide, right? We have like mid to high 8s for some of the isekais to low 6s for a lot of these series as well. But like, the crazy thing is, right? For example, if we look at each season up until recording that we have done the Good Anime Palette podcast, Winter 2021, the lowest ranked isekai was Log Horizon season 3. That still had 212,000 members.
Right.
Spring 2021, the lowest was How Not to Summon a Demon Lord Season 2, 6.72. 337,000 members. The worst one for summer 2021 was Drugstore Isekai, 111, but it was a 6.48. Then Faraway Paladin, 6.85, but with 231,000. The Strongest Sage, the crest one, 6.22, 174,000.
So when you say that, will I think that the isekai genre will wane? And I said that it will, but it will always be a staple. My arguments of the fact that the power to craft the world is really high for the writer because they can literally do whatever the fuck they want. The fact that the viewer is using it as an escape within an escape, right? As we said with Inception. And the fact that that kind of premise is very easy to get behind. I don't think I mentioned that already, but the premise of isekai is a very easy thing to kind of conceptualize because, oh, do you like volleyball? No, not really. Well, Haikyuu is really good, but as an outsider or as someone who doesn't watch sports anime.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because Haikyuu was made to make volleyball popular.
Right. Or like Slam Dunk back in the day as well, right? But to me, it is harder to convince someone to watch Haikyuu over someone to watch
Jobless Reincarnation.
Or villainous isekai or slime. Because then I'll be like, I think like it's just it's an easier pill to swallow, and in some cases it is meant to be easier to swallow, so to speak, right?
Right. But I think at the same time, though, like we still want to at least sort of maybe address or acknowledge that there is the possibility of the quality of isekais being watered down, because when you start pumping more and more stuff come out, like eventually the quality will start to dip a bit.
I think you're not wrong all the way.
Because if you look at some of the high-scoring ones, a lot of them are sequels.
Yeah.
Right? And then a lot of the newer ones, right? Like Faraway Paladin, like Strongest Sage, My Isekai Life, very, very low rating. Despite the fact that they're also pretty popular.
Because you're also...
membership.
The thing is that, Will, you're also assuming that the isekai genre doesn't evolve within itself. It stays the same. And it isn't, though. Because I would argue that when within like the whole plethora of isekais that you mentioned, right? I would say, for example, Spider Isekai is not only rated pretty high, but also its premise is rather unique, because rather than being an overpowered person or thing, you start out as a literal spider, right? Whether or not that changes, that's for you to watch or read when you get there or when you want to consume it. But I thought that was rather unique. I think the villainous genre is also rather unique because that was something that all of a sudden came out of nowhere. Then now it even has its own tag on my anime list, right? And it's synonymous with isekais. But back then it was just like, or video games, I guess, with SAO, with Log Horizon, with Dot Hack, right? That was, or even Star Ocean, the video game was like, that was the thing of the isekai. So I think even within isekais, there are evolutions and developments that will in many ways make it always relevant. Whether or not it is huge, I don't think so. I think there would be a time when it wanes.
And I think, because if we go back into the shonen era as well, right? Like there were a lot of shonen series, some of them very unique,
and that's all what everyone talks about, right?
But then after a while, the power of the shonen series did start waning. I mean, it's only recently now that we're starting to see, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, soon to be Chainsaw Man, and then of course
Mashal.
You'll have Mashal coming soon as well. Monster Number 8 as well.
Yeah.
So we then start seeing that like a lot of the mid to crap kind of iterations of shonen, and now with isekais, there's a good chance that some of them are going to start not getting adapted.
It self-regulates. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but like it self-regulates. Like, yeah, you're right? Like that was the golden age of back then with the shonen, right? And then now it's still there, and there are still really good shit, but we don't see all the other shit because it wasn't even considered or made in the first place.
Right. Like there's a lot of, for example, like you just got to talk about like novels and manga, right? There's still a lot of isekai manga and anime that have not been adapted.
That are years and years old, that are ranked really high on my anime list, but probably will never get an adaptation ever.
And despite how popular the isekai genre is right now, like some of them may never see the light of day, right?
Yeah.
So if we then maybe look past like the next 5 years, right? So ReZero came out in 2016, and then the second season came out winter 2021. So about a year and a half, 2 years ago. If we then fast forward to another like 4 or 5 years, we give isekais another 4 years to stew, to brew, and to really grow.
To braise.
To braise, right? So what do you then see as potentially the next genre?
That's tough because I never even considered isekai being a genre until it was, So maybe there is something that you and I are just sitting here talking that it is impossible for us to predict, or if we do predict it, we should shut the fuck up and actually do it, because then we'll earn a shit ton of money.
Because it's like we talk about slice of life, and it's been around for decades, but it's never like something that would be like, oh, this was like the decade defining genre, right? We would say that like there are some really good slice of life, some of them which are like probably like topping the charts, but much in the same way that we talked about the past decade having Attack on Titan and also having Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer, like, you wouldn't say that like shonen and seinen action is like the pinnacle of this particular decade. No, I would have to say that it's isekai. So in the same way with sports as well, right? With Kuroko Basket, with Ice Shield, Haikyuu, Slam Dunk. It's not that easy to then try and pinpoint a specific decade or year where like no, sports anime was the defining genre of this year, of this decade, of whatever time period you want to allot it to. So if we then look beyond isekais, then is there a genre you feel that could, or do you feel that because of how open the canvas is, in particular to shonen action, shonen adventure,
I mean,
as
that's
well
the
as
easy
isekai,
answer, right? To say, like, we never know what will entail in the world of anime and manga, what the next, like genre that would make a huge impact. But I'm trying my best to think of an answer.
Or do you think it's because I mean, like this is still very much relevant? Where like with shonen action and adventure, right? It was open canvas enough for you to look into new power systems, new kinds of character tropes, new environments. You could use shonen in like old feudal Japan times, futuristic cyberpunk times, contemporary times, and then with isekais, same thing, except that with isekais, the world is a lot bigger because they're not constrained by specific tropes. Even though there are a lot of generic isekais out there, it's I feel like the possibilities are a lot more endless when it comes to the isekai genre. Therefore, maybe there is a little bit more staying power within the genre.
I am going to mention 3 genres, but they're all interconnected, and once I explain it, I think you'll understand why I chose these 3. On the surface, though, these 3 doesn't seem very readily apparent. But I think it is also partly because it is not readily apparent, therefore it has the potential to explode, okay? The first thing is josei, with romance geared towards women. The reason why that I think that genre is popular is because for the time being, at least from where I'm standing, a lot of the noise and a lot of the fans of anime are mainly geared towards males. And you can just look at the harem genre. You can just look at all the main characters. They are all male fantasies. Now, when you look at JoJo Part 6, it is a female. And I can tell you already that, we just talked about it before we started recording, that I had a coworker who is losing her goddamn mind because there is finally a female JoJo. So I think that just like how video games are tailored mainly towards guys, or at least that's the perception, but there's actually a growing and important section, an emerging fan base of female gamers. I think the same thing is going to be prevalent for anime as well.
It will take time, though. I mean,
But you're asking me the next decade, right? So I have like 6 years.
But I feel it's also one where like it will go through a lot of obstacles too. And it's not like this is not my opinion. This is like merely an observation from what we've seen from streaming, what we've seen from movies, what we've seen from TV series, where like there are a lot more TV series and streamers that are centered around female characters, female
and I
personas.
think reverse harems are also becoming more and more relevant as well.
But it also does draw the ire of certain groups of people, and
of course it does.
And it's because of the fact that it breaks away from the norm. So, but it is a good shout. It is a good shout, and like, my hope is that there is a little bit more of like a norm to have more female representation in anime.
Well, I think like the amount of resistance is going to degrade over time, such that it gets to a point where
like societal norms eventually change, right?
Right.
And
yeah.
so therefore, like,
and it has changed already, and it will continue to change. I think in that direction.
I mean, like American history at the moment as well doesn't really speak that well of that because with the reversal of Roe versus Wade and all that, like,
yeah, that's touchy. But
like so, like I feel like whilst that is a great shout, I feel that like the obstacles are very apparent. But if it does make it, then like I would hope to see more female representation. Fair representation.
Now, my second genre is LGBTQ plus representation. The whole kind of concept of gender fluidity, I think the whole concept of, for example, Yuri shows are actually more geared towards guys than females, even though there are females that are female readers and watchers that are into Yuri. The same thing can be said about boy love stuff, right? With girl love. Like boy love are usually catered to a female crowd. I think that kind of representation is only going to get more impactful over time just because the whole conversation of gender identity, fluidity, and this social issue, even you can even call it an issue technically, because I don't think it should be an issue. It should just be the way things are, but, to each their own, right? Is just going to be a subgenre that a lot of people don't really talk about or care about, then all of a sudden have the potential to everyone all of a sudden has that BL or GL show. I went from not really watching a lot of BL GL stuff to reading and watching a lot of GL stuff. Plus, I watched my Yuri on Ice. Was it Sasaki and Miyano?
Miyano, yeah, Sasaki
right.
Miyano.
That one, everyone was losing their minds of for the BL and also for Yuri on Ice, right?
Sasaki was highly rated as well.
Extremely highly rated. In fact, I think the manga is like top like 50, and then within BL is like number 1 or 2, right? Like it is, in my opinion, very apparent that I can at least see the potential of growth and the emerging, slope of growth, right?
Yeah, it's interesting that your take on like the genres that will come to not dominate but to show more prevalence is also like hopefully coming in line with potential societal changes as well, or these perception changes. So yeah, I could see having more female representation, more gender representation in there as well.
And now the last genre that I would say is actually very. It is to the benefit of anime in particular, and that's music. I think, first of all, idol shows have always been a staple of every single season. Whether or not they are good, or whether or not they incur a lot of the discussion and fervor, that's a separate issue. But, for example, I really love Revue Starlight. I will not stop talking about it, and especially the movie that just came out on High Dive. It is a phenomenal show. But that was birthed out of the Idol series. I love Symphogear, and I'm not the only one as well. Or there are people who would like what they call the traditional idol shows.
Not to mention there's also the boom of like VTubers as well, right?
You even gave Q a chance, and you thought it wasn't a bad show at all. It just wasn't like
gripping enough.
Exactly. But you were at least willing to expose yourself to this idol shows of all idol shows, right? We talk about Love Live being relevant in terms of the score, right? And then how and I think that, or was it Luminous Witch was the other one that we talked about?
Which was also actually kind of okay. It's just a bit weird.
And the concept is kind of crazy and wild, but you also got to give them props for thinking outside of the box in such a way that the box is like in the bin, recycled.
I just didn't think that I would see the words idol group and Hitler mentioned in the same episode.
And it's like female Air Force cheerleaders. And no, they are not like cadets. They are the plane themselves, bro. Like no joke. Like you Google Luminous Witch, they are the planes. Like their legs are jet boosters, right?
Like the engines, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? Okay.
They're
so
supersonic legs, yeah.
So then this also goes into why manga, light novels, all that stuff will always have, at least in this, what I'm about to say, a disadvantage to anime, which is the lack of audio. And a good example that even we talked about, again, this is all like coincidental, but Sounds of Life, right? We talked about how like that is a really good show. And to me, or like, what was it, the other one? Those Snow White Notes, the shamisen. Remember, we watched the first episode, and we thought it was pretty good, right? But if you were to show that in a manga, it just hits different because there is no audio. You can read about how this guy's like, wow, this music is like poetry in motion, and it's like making me cry. But then when you hear it, that's when you realize, like, this shit's a good song, right? So I think that because music is a very important part of world culture, and also because anime has that advantage of having audio, again, we're not including visual novel, because technically visual novel has a potential for an audio component, right? Yeah. But music has a way to bridge people even more so than a language, because you don't have to understand the language, but just look at K-pop.
Yeah.
Right? So that is
and if you go back into BP9 and listen to our episode on sound symbolism.
Yeah, exactly, right? So that's why I think that these three genres have the potential to blow the fuck up. And the first one is josei. The second one is BL and GL, or, you know, like that whole like gender fluidity and spectrum. And then the third one is music. So I just went, wow, I can't believe that answer was actually
pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I've actually got a very boring answer.
Yeah, what you got, bro?
I think we're going to see a new big three.
Okay.
I mean, okay, look, so we know that, you know, whilst One Piece...
Shit, what a fucking shit-ass answer, Will, after what I said.
Yeah, but I mean, the evidence is clear, though, right? Like, I mean, for example, like, yes, One Piece is ending at some point.
I'm trolling.
At the same time, right, we're also, you know, we are still, like, maybe 5-6 years away from actually seeing the end of One Piece. I mean, One Piece Red, the movie, only just dropped, like very recently.
And it's doing gangbusters.
Right? So, like, One Piece is still very much popular. Mm-hmm. Naruto is still very much alive through Boruto, and no matter how much...
I don't know how, but it's still alive.
It's still insanely popular. I have friends who love Naruto, and because of how much they love Naruto, they're willing to put up with Boruto.
Did I tell you about a friend of mine whose brother is a diehard Naruto fan and still watches Boruto? And I'm like, why?
It's the same. No, it's the same with my friend. Like my friend who...
It's like, I hate it, but I just got it, bro. And I'm just like, because it's Naruto, but Boruto.
No, like, for example, like I told you, like, my friend, the guy who used to work at Focusrite, right? Like, he's very much a hardcore Naruto fan, and because of the fact that it is still very much within the same continuum, they also really enjoy watching Boruto, even if he admits it's not as good. And then we also have Bleach coming up for fall 2022. It might already be out by the time this recording releases. But we're also seeing, for example, Jujutsu Kaisen still very much in its infancy, right? Like, season 2 is not that far away. We also watched Jujutsu Kaisen 0, like maybe like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Fucking great movie.
Yeah.
And now we also have adaptations for Chainsaw Man very much coming up on the way, if not already released.
Yeah.
Then you also have Mashal. You also have Monster Number 8. You mentioned Dandadan before as well, potentially being another another manga that could get an adaptation as well.
I'm willing to bet money on it too, but yes.
So we're starting to see that, like, there is a revival of the shonen action series within the manga sphere, and then now hopefully getting into the anime adaptation sphere as well.
I mean, how many times have you and I touted about or like blasted the horns about Spy X Family, about like Kaiju number 8, and now it's a reality with Spike's Family having the second part in fall 2022. So yes, like for sure. But Will, I feel like that's a little bit of a cop out. So I'm gonna ask you.
It is a cop out, but it's also like very much true because of the fact that of how popular shonen has and always will be. Much like how isekai now has made its own stamp in this genre, it will probably also still be a mainstay of sorts. What I would like to see, on the other hand,
Oh,
though,
shit, here we
what
go.
I would like to see is more sports anime. I think
Yeah.
that the thing is, like, we see them in bits and bobs here and there, right? You might have like a Haikyuu here, you might have a Yowamushi Pedal over there, and then you also have like, I mean, Prince of Tennis is also redoing like new seasons. Captain Tsubasa comes back every now and then.
Do you know why I think that sports has it tough times ahead?
Because it was one of the least listened episodes that we have on the Good Anime Palette podcast.
No, you should try to. By the way, listeners, rectify that by listening to that episode. But because the amount of sports is finite, minus like fictional sports, which
True, but at the same time, it's like we can see like different iterations of these kinds of sports. I mean, for example, let's look at like soccer, for example, right? You got Ayawashi right now, which I tout as being one of the greatest like soccer like series. I really, really like Ayawashi. And then you have Blue Lock, where like Blue Lock is like, again, it's less of a soccer anime and more of like a shonen like death game anime, manga, soon to be anime. But I could see that like just like how there is, again, like there's a finite amount of like imagination when it comes to the like genres of shonen, when it comes to the genres of isekais. It's not that hard to then see maybe there could be that kind of freedom to explore the boundaries of sports anime. I mean, like we can see the stark differences between Slam Dunk and with Kuroko no Basket, right? And like we can see that there are like maybe traditional American football like anime series, and then you also have stuff like iShield 21, which takes things like to like the next level. We may start seeing more obscure anime series. I mean, like I've talked before, I would really like to see, you know, a Wood Studio or Studio Trigger or Kyoto Animation doing a synchronized swimming anime, right? We start seeing more ballroom, more ballet. I think like as much as there is a finite amount of sports, not all sports has been fully explored.
yes, that is very true. I actually thought that your answer would be martial arts.
That would fall under sports.
Right, but I thought you would just say martial arts.
It's hard though, because I feel that like even then it's like it's just that one specific genre. It's that one specific, like, yes, you might have one that's focused on karate. You have one that's focused on Bushido.
Judo.
You have one that's focused on
Wing Chun.
Yeah, you have one that's focused on kendo. Right.
Sure.
Yeah, and then of course you also have the
MMA.
You have archery as well.
Yeah.
Right. But I feel that like again.
Wait, is archery really martial arts?
Well, I mean, no, I mean like
Kendo's martial arts?
Well, it's martial. Yeah, kendo is in martial arts.
I actually am not sure about the definition of martial arts.
Again, like, are we like trying to separate? From,
oh,
like,
hand-to-hand combat.
Right.
Like, okay.
See, so that's-
all right. Okay. Sorry, I take that back.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
But I understand. Again, it's kind of hard, right?
It's the perception, right? It is what generally when you think martial arts, you think of kung fu, karate, judo, taekwondo. You don't think of.
And whilst they do also take part in like sports contests and sports associations, would you then consider martial arts to be sports in terms of like defining it as an anime genre, right?
I mean,
like,
I think it would be its own subcategory for sure.
Right.
Whether or not it falls
but there's
under
still
sports.
exactly there's still that umbrella term.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
So I think like that would then like fall under it too. I would then say, right, like if you do like exhibitionist karate or taekwondo, then that would also fall under sports. But you don't necessarily have to use taekwondo and karate in a combative purpose, right? Where it is like more of a martial arts sort of environment. So that's where I think like it should be more explored. We should be seeing more sports anime. I mean, like, look, as I mentioned, Haikyuu was created to make volleyball popular, and guess what it did? It made it really fucking popular. Right, not just Haikyuu itself, but the sport. So
no, you're right. You're right for sure.
And that's one thing I would hope to see, right? Because for me, it's like I always felt that like if it came to soccer anime, it was just Captain Tsubasa and that was it, right? I didn't have as much interest in Blue Lock, but then Aowashi came out and I was blown away by how good it is. So That's my hope. That's my hope that like if we are to see like a new iteration of a specific genre, much how you want to see LGBTQ representation, Josei representation, and more music based kind of.
I mean, it just so
shows.
happens that I not only that would be my prediction, but I also care about all of those three genres. But I mean, I don't really care that much about isekai, but I also am willing to bet money that it will be a staple. I don't think that is a very like.
Well, I mean, it's the same way for me per saying like shonen will be here to stay too.
Exactly,
because
right?
the evidence is already here.
So, if you were to say what type of shonen you envision the next big three would be in terms of like, obviously it's hard to predict something like that, but let's kind of break that decision of your prediction down into like, well, what would be popular? Because you posed a question to me of, well, what will be the next big genre, right? So okay, I accept your answer of the next big three is going to show up, but could you give me some indication as to like what type of content these big three would either have for all of them, some of them, one of them, that kind of thing? Like
I would wager that Jujutsu Kaisen will be part of that. I would wager that.
Oh, so you think like one or two or
like specific series, not necessarily like what makes them like big. I think like we will be seeing like because let's say for example like Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece. All three are very fundamentally different from each other, right? One is based in feudal Japan with ninjas and samurai. One is essentially a ghost death society. One is about pirates, right? But then you have Chainsaw Man, which is I guess Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen you can see some sort of similarities, but I think like the over execution is very different.
How long did Naruto run for? How many chapters?
It ran I mean like in terms of anime episodes,
or like volumes, for example.
I don't know, but Shippuden had 500 episodes.
Okay, what about
Bleach ran for quite a while. I think it ran for about a decade. But then like after a while it got canceled. It was
you see, the thing is that the reason why I'm hesitant to say that there would be something as concrete as a Naruto or a Bleach or a One Piece is because the changing landscape of anime makes it so that you cannot produce the same show for 52 or 100 episodes every 2 years or so. I just think that the current landscape of anime studios is super hard. I mean, just think about it with Ufotable, who is at this point basically only doing Demon Slayer for the most part, right? And think about like David Productions basically only doing JoJo, among other things also, but JoJo is like, I would say currently their like main thing, right? It's just really difficult to be able to produce several hundred episodes.
Well, that hasn't stopped. Demon Slayer is still coming up with a third season, despite the fact that the manga's over.
Right, but with these Naruto and Bleach, it was continuous. That's the issue.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like that doesn't necessarily mean that like I'm saying I want series to be producing week to week for like 5-6 years. What I mean is that these are going to be like the pinnacle. These are going to be the ones that you would hold up on a pedestal.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I'm not trying to say that like Chainsaw Man is going to be like going on for like 10 years.
Yeah,
but because of course like the first part 97 chapters, who knows how many chapters the second part's going to be, who knows how long Jujutsu Kaisen is going to run for, and then of course like with Kaiju number 8, with Mashal, potentially if you see Den get one, we don't know how long those are going to run for. I get that audience attention is a lot shorter now, and the competition is a lot higher. Yes, with One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto, they were also competing with Dragon Ball, Full Metal Alchemist. They were also competing with Hunter x Hunter.
And I guess this is a bit my fault too. Whenever I think of the big three, I think of like series that have spanned a shit ton of time, right?
But that's because they set the example. They're the reason why the big three even was a
the concept,
term,
even exactly right.
So of course, like what I say, like the new big three, I'm not even gonna say that it would amount to anything that One Piece and Naruto and Bleach did.
But it would be the equivalent, right?
Yeah.
Given the
at least
constraints
within this context,
right, for sure, So okay, all right. So you think right now it would be a Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Chainsaw Man,
and I would probably put it on Mashal. I think Mashal.
Have you read Mashal?
Yeah, I've read 2 chapters. It's good, but I think it's also because it's an easy enough like concept for people to consume. You know, like brain versus brawn. Like it's one of the most like basic like shonen tropes there is.
It's magical versus physical.
I mean, that's what made like Naruto popular. That's what made One Piece popular. It's also what made, for example, like Black Clover somehow still popular, right? So I think like if you have like a recipe that works and you execute it perfectly, there will be enough traction to at least get you high enough to reach that pinnacle. Whether they will or not, I mean, again, these are all just predictions, right?
Okay, I am going to, if possible, because we're going out crazy long. Even though I love this discussion, I'm going to amend your argument a bit, which is I don't think it's shonen that would be massively popular. I think it's seinen. The reason is because of the simple fact that weebs grow older. Weebs still, a good portion of them would still watch anime. So they are more exposed to things like Attack on Titan more so than Naruto. And even though both of us hold things like Naruto and Bleach in high regard, we are kind of like, in a way, done with that. We respect it, but we're kind of done with that. Think about like how Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen compares to Bleach, Naruto, or One Piece. Yeah, sure. Both have a lot of violence. But I would say Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen is on such a different level in terms of just sheer fucked upness.
Yeah, but it also comes into play with like thinking about our context, right? Like we're not accounting for new fans that come into the weebdom. We're not taking into account new weebs that come in, especially younger generations too, Gen Zs, Generation Alpha, and all that.
Sure.
So I think like no matter what, like yes, we will continue getting older, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be any more younger fans. It's not like the whole fandom itself is aging.
No, I also think that no, I mean in a way it is aging, but I think also it is another tendency of tastes being extreme. I think like for example, like if you were to look at Chainsaw Man and then look at like a show that was like 20 years ago, or for example like Elfen Lied, I think nowadays the amount of extreme pushing the envelope gore violence is way more intense than it was before.
Yeah,
and I think with nudity as well, or like at least not okay, even if we exclude all those quote unquote explicit content, just the fact that the dialogue with swear words we even talked about has changed over time, right?
I don't know, but I feel like that you're still discounting the fact that there are going to be younger people who will also get into anime and manga as well, right?
I mean, how many times have I heard like a 9-year-old say fuck?
So like,
that's what I mean.
Do we even know the demographics split on like how many people of a younger generation are?
Hell no.
Exactly. So that's what I'm banking on though.
Oh, okay,
where, like,
okay, I see.
It's the fact that like there's still like, it's not like that we started watching anime and then that's it, and then everybody else younger than us don't watch anime at all.
No, I was like, get out of the club, right?
That's not it,
no,
right?
Of
Like,
course,
no,
yes, of course.
I'm firmly a believer that like there's still young children, young adults that are also watching anime, and that therefore for them it's like they will then see, and it's like for example why Disney keeps on making new iterations of their classics, why we have live action Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast and Lion King. It's just you want to keep on making popular stuff just for the next generation, and so therefore you're going to be pumping and recycling stuff so that every 10-20 years you still have the same recipe, but for the next decade, the next generation, and it will just keep going and going and going. And that's why it's not hard to see that shonen is still around and it will make a big push because they need to do things to be able to attract younger audiences. I'm not discounting that there's going to be more seinen stuff, but I also feel like there hasn't been like lack of representation of seinen. I would hope that there'd be more seinen stuff, more stuff that is like set for like mature audiences, but I wouldn't say that like it would, because one thing for sure when it comes to like seinen stuff is like broadcasting, licensing, and getting ratings to be able to be approved for public TV as well.
Well, don't do it on public TV. Do it on streaming services.
But that's the thing, though. It's like in the end, it's still very much like you still like streaming services like represent a small percentage of the global population anyway, right? Not to mention as well, like
wait, a lot of people around the world can only access anime through streaming services.
Right. But how many of those regions can access all anime? Right? In the
But
end,
that's an issue of licensing, which is a really hard subject to tackle for anybody.
so
really.
therefore it's actually easier to get through public because licensing rates aren't as hard. Whereas you're getting direct onto streaming services, it comes down to region locking as well.
Okay,
If it has
okay.
mature, if you have mature stuff, you're not going to be showing it in Indonesia.
I mean,
You're
it's a
not gonna-
harder sell, right? Yeah. Okay. No. I see
that's
it.
where
I
it
see
is, right? Like there are some places, some countries where it's like they will not show violence, they will not show drug use, they will not do certain things.
That's fair. Actually,
That's where it's like I want to see it, but I don't know if it will proliferate to the point where it becomes super mainstream.
okay. I actually concede on that a bit. Yeah. Okay. No. You make a very fair point there.
Yeah.
So.
But I would like to see more mature audience stuff, tackling like more like taboo subjects. I mean, we talked about like mental disabilities and mental conditions. We talk about like drug use. We talk about some real,
we haven't done
real dark societal shit, right? We want to be able to at least have more people explore those kinds of forums, those kinds of topics. But at the same time, I understand there will be limitations as to how public those things will be accessible. That's where the issue is. Well, we really went a long time on this, but like the future of anime at the moment is very interesting because whilst I would like to see more genres come in and try and sort of take away that crown from isekais and shonen, I think it's just hard because of the fact that like it's David and Goliath, and I know that like David wins in this story, but like that's not always going to be the case, right? Not everybody's going to be having that kind of luck or that kind of golden egg to be able to present that opportunity to succeed. So
Well, my argument would be that the amount of genres that at least that I can think of, because if in other words, if it's new, there's no way for you and I to predict it unless if we know exactly what that is, right? But given the information that I have in front of me, I would rather subscribe to that the genres will evolve. Certain genres will evolve, just like as I said to you, that like with isekai, oh yeah, it was the same old shit with the same old premise, and that worked for a bit, but then all of a sudden you have these random well done, well crafted isekais that still have all of the characteristics of what you would consider an isekai, but their premise is a little bit different, or their execution is a little bit different, such that then therefore the whole genre as a whole will shift and make it maybe more relevant again, or will make it always be a staple rotation within every season of anime. That's it.
So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up our thoughts on what we feel the future of anime
Holy
holds.
fuck, we played a really long time. Holy shit, that's like an actual episode, bro.
Yeah, but this is like this is a topic that I feel like we will revisit in like 2 years' time, like after like
I mean, almost exactly, because remember our second episode was about the big three, and then now we're literally having this discussion, but with new information, right?
Because we were talked about how like Jump is kind of like in the pits, nothing was really coming
Then Jump
out.
Plus happened,
And
then
now
Chainsaw Man Part 2 happened, then Spy X Family happened, right?
Yeah,
Mashal happened. Even Sakamoto Days, which we have not mentioned up till now.
I like it.
I like it a lot, and I think it will get an anime at some point.
Is that canceled? Is it?
No. It's going pretty strong. Actually, I quite like the direction it's going.
Good. Okay.
It's still a fat guy being a badass, like Leon the Professional.
Nice. Speaking of which, Leon Professional, fucking amazing movie. Yeah, I think it's time to do the show notes then, right? You got the right ones this time? Don't make it 2 times in a row, man.
You can always reach us through our Gmail. Fuck. You can always reach us through our Gmail, which is our email account, gapalette@gmail.com. That's GAPALETTE at gmail.com, or lowercase, all one word. Will, at some point, I'm going to have to make you do the show notes so then you know how I feel. And let's see if you mess up or don't. And then I will shut the fuck up. But what I won't shut up on is you can also find us on Twitter using the handle @PaletteGood. That's capital P and capital G, or blah, all one word, or through our GAP Discord. Our invite link is in the show description. We also have a website, www.goodanimepalette.com. All lowercase, all one word. And our intro music is Relaxation Station by Magnus Ringblom, and our outro music is Golden Rules by Luax. You can support the music artists we feature by listening to them on Spotify, Apple Music, or various music listening platforms. And our royalty-free music was provided by Epidemic Sounds. And if you're interested, we will have a referral link in the show description to get 10% off of your first 12 months and the first 30 days of your subscription for free, but terms and conditions apply.
Oof. We really went through the ringer in terms of trying to predict the future of anime. Always with these prediction kind of conversations.
So how are we going to name the topic? Because we kind of, I mean, the
don't
title.
Worry. I got something in mind.
Okay.
Don't you worry.
Jesus,
okay.
You're going to fucking go do that shit.
Yeah, I do shit all the time.
Yeah, you do shit all the time.
Yeah. So, well, thanks very much for listening to us rambling about what the fuck we want to see in 5 years' time for anime and manga. Hopefully, when we revisit this in 5 years' time, we'll have let's see if our predictions are correct.
Yeah.